Coming up now is another sparkling Two Mikes podcast.
This is Talk Sports Extra Time. I'm Mike Gray. Mike Parry, I'm delighted to say, is here with me, looking very dapper, I have to tell you. You look as if you've had a very restful weekend.
I'm looking dapper, Mike, just because you're comparing myself to yourself, you know what I mean? Because you're not looking
Tim
particularly
Vickery,
dapper.
who's going to be on a bit later, said that he thought my shirt was an incredibly stylish one and didn't like yours at all.
Yeah, but Tim lives most of the time in Brazil, and in Brazil people have very, very bizarre sort of dress code because A, it's very hot all the time, and B, a lot of people live in these favelas, don't have a lot of money.
Favelas?
So, yeah, the
You mean
favelas.
favelas?
Favelas, that's exactly what I said.
Yeah.
And they tend to put their clothes together from bits and pieces of old rags that they find lying around in the street, and they stitch them together and they come up with a shirt.
Right.
And, that, you know, in my opinion, that's what yours looks like tonight. It looks like a rag-ridden favela creation, and it's typical of you.
It's a very expensive shirt, actually. It's from Banana Republic.
Yeah, Banana Republic. Yeah, that's about right. That's what you used to call South American countries who had people making shirts out of rags and that sort of stuff. Not that I want to be rude to anybody in Brazil, but
You just have been, though.
No, I haven't. No, that's
Consigned an entire country into a shanty town.
Not at all. That's an old expression, an outdated expression. It's bananaism as well, I think, in the same way as, you know, we can offend people in other ways, and I don't mean to do that at all. It was an unfortunate expression landed on these countries when, in fact, their main export was bananas.
Really?
And as I've told you many, many times, sometimes I'm sitting in the old penthouse overlooking Portsmouth Harbour, I do see the Five V's banana boat coming up the channel.
Well, I don't blame you if you were down there at the weekend looking out out the window instead of watching Everton losing to Manchester United.
Well, that's another issue, and won't talk about that because Everton were very unlucky. If De Gea hadn't suddenly hit top form after being with the club for how many years, 6 or something like that, then I think
6 years. He hadn't been there that long, has he?
Something like that. Yeah,
he did play out of his skin. It's true.
Maybe it's 4 years, but anyway, it seems like 6 years. And if he hadn't pulled off 2 incredible saves at the end, Everton would have won. And Leighton Baines going and missing a penalty for the first time in 14. That in itself is a mistake. But anyway,
what happened to your guardian angel then for that particular game?
Well, I can't impose the guardian angel's protective qualities upon a third party. A guardian angel is something very personal, something that sits on your shoulder and guides you. And I wasn't in the ground anyway, as you know. I was watching the game from the South Coast, and so I can't do anything about that. You know, that's beyond my control.
They're very, very bad shape, though, aren't they? Fourth from bottom.
No.
Fourth from bottom.
Yeah, well, it's not good to be fourth from bottom, but the teams we played so far, Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester United, these are top 4 teams of recent seasons. Liverpool, of course, and we've got a run now of about 6 games where, with the greatest respect to the teams we're playing, they appear to be on paper a lot easier than some of the games we've had so far. I want to talk to you about the autumnal weather.
Yes.
Because you simply haven't got a clue how to handle it, have you?
Well, the autumnal weather
moaning and whinging about your journey into work tonight.
Well, it's not just my journey into work.
For goodness sake, man, can't you get yourself sorted?
Well,
let me tell you what
happened to me today, because just before, and I don't want you to take offence
do you really
about
think
this.
the audience want to listen to what happened to you today?
Well, because it was
I mean,
an
they could go
extraordinary
outside
thing.
and watch, grass grow. It'd be more interesting.
Well, grass doesn't grow at this time of year, of course, as you probably would know if you had any grass, but you don't have any, do you?
I do.
Because you live in a concrete jungle.
No.
You have no grass anywhere in your 2 residences.
I have plants.
You have
I have
those
plants in the roof garden.
chia pet things. That's about the
No.
only place the grass grows.
I have huge bowls full of plants.
Really?
Which my
Well, they
housekeeper
don't grow
looks
grass,
after.
though, do they?
Sorry?
They don't grow grass in the bowls.
I can see the grass grow. I can hear the grass.
What's
Who sung
that?
that?
I don't know.
I Can Hear the Grass Grow. It's a 60s song by The Loving Spoonful.
Really?
In my view.
Dreadful. Now, I don't want to take this the wrong way, but I've sent out, there was another picture that was sent in to me from somebody that works here at TalkSport. It's another picture of you rifling through the bins, which has become a bit of a sort of a ritual for you before you come on this show.
No,
rifling through the bins, researching material.
No, can I tell you what happens? We have a lot of very young and very able people here who actually don't know what a newspaper is. And they come in the mornings and they've been reading stuff on their tablet and they've seen stuff online on their laptops at home and all this kind of stuff, and they look around their iPhones. They get in here and they see a pile of newspapers on the desk and they think, what is this rubbish?
They throw them all in the bin.
They throw straight in the bin.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about Monday's papers are in the bin by 11 o'clock on a Monday.
Yeah.
And all the Sunday papers. Now, of course, I'd go the old-fashioned route of looking at things and researching things.
Well, why haven't you already read Monday's papers before you come in?
Well, I have. I have. I've read most of them, and I'm not going to cart them all to work. What I do is I spot all the things that I want to refer to later on. I'm talking to you, and I think, I'll get those out of the set of papers or the sets, because we have about half a dozen sets. No, which I would expect to be in the normal place where they should be.
The bin.
In the files. No, in the files, on the desk and all that, but they're not. They're in the bin. So I have to rifle through the bin and get them out.
It's a shocking image, though.
The Sunday papers are in the bin. It's not my fault. This is the fault of, the philosophy of modern
digital
investigative culture. Yeah, that's right.
That's true. Yeah,
that's
they do try from time to time to set up a filing system. It never works for very long.
Unbelievable.
But let me tell you about the nightmare. I mean, if I'd had a guardian angel looking after me today...
Well, you haven't got a guardian angel because you don't have any belief.
Well, the guardian angel take the day off because I took my son to school this morning.
Right. That's a good thing. Good fathering.
Temporary traffic light was put in on the one single lane road that goes from my house to his school, and it took about half an hour when it normally would take 10 minutes. So I just about made it in time for him to not get a late mark for his school, but I had to do really over the speed limit in order to get there for the rest of the way.
But dangerous driving.
Well, not dangerous, no. But passing, past this kind of what looked like a bit of the road they were digging up, not one worker was there.
No.
So I thought, I'm not going to come back that way.
No.
I'll go the other way, down onto the main road, the A21. See, that was quite good planning, right?
Good thinking.
I went to fill the car up with petrol, got onto the other road, got about halfway down it, to within about 2 miles of my house, and the road was shut.
Right.
Because apparently there was some power cables down because it was a bit windy.
My God.
So I was then diverted
that can happen in the autumn.
about 10 miles around that particular road.
That's terrible.
Came all the way back the other way, only to discover that road was then completely closed off as well.
Frustrating.
Because there'd been a crash. And I didn't get home for about an hour. Absolute nightmare.
Very frustrating.
And it didn't get any better on the way back. On the way back, I tried to come back a different way. I had to go and buy him. I picked him up from school. Bought some new football boots for him because he's playing football again as of Thursday.
Excellent.
Right? And that's another story. I'll tell you that maybe on Thursday. But my experience in a sports shop trying to buy football boots, terrible.
Yeah.
Anyway, came back again a different way, and that road was closed. I mean, they seem to be closing off every single road, and it's all to do with the weather. It's all to do with the maniacal way that we run traffic in this country. And it took me. I mean, I didn't get home from picking up from school till about 6 o'clock.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
This is bad news, but I'm afraid it's what I have to do in autumn. You have to make provisions. Now, don't get me wrong.
Well, I don't think I should have to.
Well, you have to. You do have to, because when there's leaves on the ground, the leaves are falling at the moment like snow.
Well, it happens every year.
It happens every year.
Why should it be a problem?
Well, it shouldn't be a problem. You should be able to adjust to it. Who else?
But if they shut the bloody road, what am I supposed to do?
Well, if a power cable comes down, they shut the road so people don't electrocute themselves.
Well,
that's
sorry.
fairly
they
basic,
don't need to shut the whole road.
Of course they need to shut the whole road.
Rubbish.
You drive your car over a power cable, you electrocute everybody in the vicinity, a car blows up. I mean, what a ludicrous thing to say. Is a power cable down, you think you should drive over it?
I think they should make sure that...
You should drive over it?
But I bet you any money...
You think you should drive over
Hang
a
on
power
a second.
cable?
No, I don't think that, obviously.
Well,
that would be idiotic.
But
they don't need to close the road for hours and hours on end. They should be able to contain the problem and allow us to drive around it. In the same way that I did not pass any single part of the road, the roads that were closed off around where I live. Not once did I see anybody working. Same coming up tonight.
Yeah.
The M25 was down to one lane. Just coming up to the Dartford Tunnel. Was anybody working?
Yeah.
No, nobody was working.
It can happen, but
nobody was working.
There's always an explanation for it. The point is, you've been a motorist a long time. You know these things happen. If I were you, I'd stop whinging and appreciate the beauty that autumn brings us.
No, when I was down at the seafront in Hastings, I was nearly blown into the sea. The wind was so strong, you could barely walk up the street. I hate it. Absolutely hate it.
I had that experience in Southsea yesterday, which is the sort of
yesterday was all right,
holiday resort. No. I'm talking on the south coast, man.
I was on the south coast as well.
Yeah. Well,
it was
I was on the
sunny
south
yesterday.
coast. Well, it was a bit blowy where I was.
You've got your own sort of... You've got your own sort of
ecosystem
in Southport.
Sort of. Yeah, why not? Yeah, sort of.
By the way, I've got Gary from Chelmsford who says that was not The Loving Spoonful, that song. It was by The Move.
Oh, The Move, right? Thank you.
How about a quiz on music of the 60s?
Yeah, music of the 60s. That's a good one.
Should we do that on Thursday?
Yeah, we do that on Thursday. By all means, I'm an expert on that actually. And that'll be a
Can you please clip that because he always denies that he says he's an expert.
That'll be non-competition. Don't worry about it. But the trees are coming down at the moment. The leaves are coming down at the moment, like snow, and it's beautiful, particularly if you live in Stockbroke, about where I do.
Yeah.
I don't know where you live, but I mean some grotty, farm road up to your house or something like that. Probably don't have the same.
Certainly not grotty.
Probably don't have the same magical qualities as the place where I live.
A stone's throw from where the Battle of Hastings happened.
Yes, I know that. Yeah, well, that was on a battlefield, so
yes.
That can't always be a great thing, can it? Because
the rolling hills of Sussex.
Rolling hills of Sussex. Yeah, that's not too bad. Okay, I agree with that. But what I mean is, mate, you've got to learn to adjust to the seasons. It's no good walking round, doing the usual British moan about the British weather. The point is, we are blessed blessed to live in such a fantastic country where we get 4 different seasons, where we have to adjust to the changes
we didn't get any snow last
in
year,
the temperature. Well, I hope we get some snow this year.
I hope so too.
I really hope we get some snow.
You'll be pottering about in your crappy little car, and I'll be driving up happily in my 4x4, being able to drive around on the snow.
Yes.
So I have already made an arrangement for the snow coming. You haven't.
Yes. Well, I have actually.
I'll probably have to push your car out of the snowdrift.
The difficulty between, what you call my grotty little car, you're talking about my Mercedes now, is that it tells you...
Which doesn't work in the snow.
It tells you that everything that goes wrong. In fact, on the way in tonight,
very happy for you.
It sent me a message saying, get your car serviced within the next 200 miles. So that's brilliant, isn't it? It tells you that. Tells you when
why don't you know that anyway?
I can't remember everything in my head. It tells you when you've got punctures. It tells you when something's out of sync or out of line. It tells you when a light bulb goes, whereas your car, which is, shall we say, of a more distinguished age, doesn't have those sort of features. Doesn't have those sort of features.
It does, actually.
So, when you're driving around in your Chelsea tractor and ploughing through fields and all in the snow to impress your kids about, a tough car you've got, your car will be going wrong, but it won't be telling you because... Your car doesn't talk to you. My car talks to me. My car tells me what's going on. I have a relationship with my car like I have with a human being because it talks.
Well, it's the only thing that does talk to you. This is Talk Sport with the Two Mikes.
Turning me on, turning me off, making me feel like I want too much. Living with you's just putting me through it all of the time. Running around, staying out all night, taking it all straight to take one bite. Living with you's just putting me through it all of the time.
This is Talk Sport Extra Time. We are the Two Mikes.
Yeah, we certainly are.
What do you make of that then?
Well, you told me you were going to talk about Genesis, right?
Yes.
That's fine, except that was Phil Collins. And
it was Phil Collins singing.
No, but
it was Genesis.
No, it wasn't.
It's a Genesis song.
No, it's not. That single was called That's All.
Yeah, by Genesis.
No, it was by Phil Collins on his first solo album after he left Genesis. Yes, it was.
Rubbish.
Yes, it was. When Phil Collins broke away from Genesis, he
never did break away from Genesis.
He came staggering onto a stage on the Top of the Pops, right?
Yeah.
And he had a pair of glasses on, and he started singing... I need love to ease my mind. Da, da, da,
yeah, that wasn't his first solo song.
It was. That was his first solo song. And it was done by the Supremes. What's it called?
Yeah. I
need love to ease my mind. Da, 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 da.
You can't hurry
love. You can't hurry love.
Yeah,
You've just got to wait.
But That's All, which is that song there, was a Genesis song. And I mean...
No, it wasn't a Genesis song.
Well,
I'm telling you, I know
wrong.
for a fact it wasn't. I bought his solo LP and that was on it.
No, it wasn't.
And I loved it so much. I used to play it over and over again in my car on a tape. We had tapes in those days and not CDs, you know what I mean? And it was in my Vauxhall... no, it wasn't.
You're not thinking of the song In the Air Tonight?
No.
That was his first solo album.
No, it wasn't. And that was about down and outs in homeless places in London. But That's All was a terrific melody.
You're completely wrong.
But I'm
not even going to ask people to write in and tell you that they're wrong. Because the point is, I watched this documentary. As ever, I didn't know it was on. I think it was Saturday night, just before Match of the Day came on.
Yes.
And, people have always said that you could never quite admit to being a Genesis fan. And I was never a massive Genesis fan. But they had such a great body of work. You have to remember songs like that.
Well, what's the other great song?
Which was after... Well, they've got a whole body of songs.
Name one.
Well, I could name 1,000.
They
did this double album with Peter Gabriel before he left. I think you're confusing Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins.
No, I'm not. No.
And Peter, there was a time in the 90s or in the 80s rather.
Yeah, it was the 80s
when Phil Collins, Peter Gabriel, and Genesis were all kind of vying for being number one, and they would one take over from the other.
Well, let me tell you something. In his single career, he did a fantastic job, and that one was one of the best. The other one of the best ones was there was Phil Collins and some other guy called Phil, and they did Easy Lover.
Yeah.
She's an easy lover. Da, 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 da,
wasn't he the guy from Earth, Wind and Fire? Wasn't he the guy from Earth, Wind and Fire?
I don't know. I've no idea who he was.
The trouble is because you've got it all so completely around your ears.
I've got it around my ears. I know exactly what I'm talking about, but you don't on this occasion, Mike.
Do you want me to show you a picture of the album cover that's got That's All on it, which says it's by Genesis?
Look. The people who know best of the audience, they've already picked me up on the Loving Spoonful, not being the Loving Spoonful, being the move. So if you're out there, please, and you're listening, just tell me that song we've just played, That's All is what it's called, was a Phil Collins single special, individual.
Carl Parkin has just tweeted at
IRMG. Carl Perkins, wasn't he a famous rock and roller?
Carl Perkins was, not Carl Perkins, Carl Parkin. He says, That's All was a Genesis song, not a Phil Collins song.
No, it wasn't. I'm sorry, I won't accept that.
Whether you accept it or not, it's not the point.
Well, it it is the point. How come, if that's right, he played the piano, he sang it, and he played the drums all on the same record?
Because you can do that in a recording studio. It's called tracking.
Yes,
what you do is you play the piano track, then you play the drum track, then you play the vocal track.
But it's
and
unusual.
Then you can actually make. No, it's not unusual.
It's unusual in a band. Oh, I see. So
the Eagles had a drummer who was also a singer.
Yeah. Okay. Well, lots of people have drummers who are singers, and Phil Collins was perhaps the finest example of that genre. In fact, did Mick Fleetwood ever sing?
Mick Fleetwood, I think, did sing, yeah.
Because he was the drummer, obviously. He was and the creator of the group. I don't think he ever sang.
Wasn't he the guitarist?
Who?
Mick Fleetwood.
No, he was the drummer, you fool.
Sure?
Didn't Fleetwood Mac were the biggest group in the world for about 5 years in the 70s?
Yeah, they were.
And he was the drummer. He was a guy sitting at the back, banging it out and all that kind of stuff. But I don't know whether he ever sang, because they had great singers in Stevie Nicks. And it was Christine McVie. Lindsay Buckingham was a bloke.
Yeah.
And Christine McVie, I think her name was. She was a great singer as well. But that's by the by. The point is that you're talking now about Saturday night television, right?
Yes.
What did I see on Saturday? I saw Doctor Who.
Doctor Who, yeah.
Doctor Who is rubbish. It is the biggest load of trash and rubbish I've ever seen on television, right? Now, it's not.
Why did you watch it then?
Well, because I was watching it because I wanted to find out if it was rubbish. I suspected it was rubbish.
Well, how long did it take you to work out that it was rubbish?
About 10 minutes.
So you didn't watch the whole show then?
No, but I had to confirm it was rubbish. I couldn't watch any more after that. But look, I'm looking here at a review by Christopher Stevens, a Fleet Street TV reviewer, and one of the most esteemed. He's been around a long time, and he says, at the start of the space race, the late 50s, after the USSR became the first superpower, and goes on and on and on. And what he's saying is...
He's getting paid by the word, is he?
Well, he must be, because he's talking about time. He's talking about time and all that. But he goes on to say, in Doctor Who, Peter Capaldi's Time Lord made a similar choice when he found himself in a space shuttle armed with 100 nuclear missiles, all aimed at the core of the moon, because he was talking about Russia's plans to nuke the moon.
Yeah.
Right? Unwilling to get involved, he hopped into his TARDIS and left. Not much of a plot twist as a narrative droop. Of course, the Doctor has the chance to teleport out of every adventure, but he mustn't and shouldn't, just as James Bond never parks the Aston and leaves someone else to save the world.
Well, the problem with Doctor Who, it seems to me, because my kids quite like Doctor Who. Even they've gone off it now. If they miss it on a Saturday night, because it's on later and later now.
Is that right?
It used to be on
so
sort
your kids
of
miss
early
it now?
Well, because, it doesn't finish now till after 9 o'clock, which is a bit late for them, to be honest. And the problem with Doctor Who is that every now and again they appoint a doctor who just doesn't work.
No,
I mean, the last one was Matt Smith, who was great.
Yeah.
Because he was slightly eccentric, slightly off the wall.
Yes.
And somehow he kind of kept your attention. Whereas Peter Capaldi, all I can see him in is the thick of it, where he comes out with all these foul-mouthed swear words all the time.
I totally
and he's great
agree.
in that, but he's a terrible Doctor Who.
Yeah, it says here there have been some silly mistakes and silly tales in this series. The Doctor has been injected into a Dalek, etc., etc. Injected into a Dalek.
He's been injected into a Dalek.
Apparently, he went into he was injected into the inside of a Dalek. I don't know. But anyway, it goes on to say, and this is really interesting, Mike, the first 4 Time Lords were father figures. They were wise, brilliant and eccentric. The template of a perfect dad. Capaldi's version paid homage to that history this weekend with a polka dot shirt and a yo-yo borrowed from Doctors 3 and 4, John Pertwee and Tom Baker. But what they didn't do was have a midlife crisis on screen. And what he's saying that this Doctor Who actually fancies his assistant. And therefore...
And that's a bit uneasy for me, that. Doesn't sit well with me.
That's exactly what they say. They say it's ludicrous, that a grey-haired...
She's too young for him.
A grey-haired man like this can start making sort of eyes at his assistant.
And that's
all
why
that.
It was better before, when Matt Smith, who was much younger, could flirt with her, and it sort of didn't seem to be a problem. But it's a bit creepy with his dude.
Creepy's the word. Creepy's the word. Now...
Well, now you don't have to watch it anymore, do you?
What?
You don't have to watch it anymore, Doctor Who. You can watch something else on a Saturday night.
Well, no, what I'm saying is, so they've injected a little bit of sex in that, OK? A little bit of sex, right?
What, in Doctor Who?
Yeah, of course they have.
Really? To be honest, I haven't watched it for a while.
If he's making eyes at... I'm saying if he's making eyes at his assistant, then, they're trying to sell it on the sex thing. Now, talking about sex, sex has now infiltrated itself into one of, I would say... one of the series where you would never, ever, ever have expected to see it, and that is Downton Abbey. I mean,
They've gone mad on
shocked.
Downton Abbey.
I was shocked.
Were you?
I was shocked. Lady Mary goes away to Liverpool, stays in a place called the Grand Hotel. Now, I don't know of a Grand Hotel.
It's an odd place to go for a dirty weekend, isn't it?
Well, it's only across the Pennines from where the estate is supposed to be. It's supposed to be in Yorkshire, right?
It just never seemed like a destination for that sort of thing for me.
Well, the only hotel...
You go to Liverpool to watch a band or to go and maybe watch a football match. You wouldn't go there for a dirty weekend.
Well, you might have done in those days. days. It's 1924 now.
I'm not sure people even did go for dirty weekends in those days.
Well, this is the point. This is the point I'm about to make. Now, the Grand Hotel, I've never heard of the Grand Hotel. It might now...
Well, it is a fictional series.
Yeah, but you'd think they'd have got, like the name of a hotel. I mean, Liverpool's most famous hotel, right in the middle there, right on Lime Street, where I stayed during the Liverpool riots.
Yeah. You've
forgotten
the name
what
of
it's
it.
called. Yeah, I've forgotten what it's called.
You and I stayed somewhere like it. Where did we stay? We stayed down by the docks. When we
stayed in the Marriott,
Was it the Marriott?
on the docks. But
That was nice.
No, it was the Holiday Inn. Actually, it was the Holiday Inn.
No, it wasn't.
It was the Holiday Inn upgrade.
No,
one.
it was not the
call
Holiday Inn. No, I don't stay in Holiday Inn.
No, it wasn't
definitely
Holiday Inn.
not
It wasn't
Holiday Inn.
Holiday Inn. No, I can't remember what it was. But the one I'm
I can't remember much.
Hang on. The one I'm talking about on Lime Street is the most famous hotel in the north of England.
Is it?
Liverpool,
Is it the old railway
the Adelphi.
hotel?
No, it's the Adelphi. It's the Adelphi. And you know what? I think it might have once been a lunatic asylum because no joke. When we stayed there during
They normally put those in the middle of a city.
Well, when we stayed there during the riots, which were 1980 or 81, something like that.
81.
After working all day and getting blackened by smoke from all the flaming buildings and the petrol bombs.
You retired to the bar, I suppose.
Retired to the bar for a bit, but then you went upstairs and you had a main door which opened out like this, right? And then behind that was your hotel door which opened in. But you had to close
so a
one.
double door?
A double door. Two
Wow.
doors.
Why?
Two doors. Well, that's what I mean. I think it might have once been a lunatic asylum or something like
No,
that.
it's a security thing.
Very odd. But anyway, the point is, Lady Mary goes there.
Yeah.
She gets into a room. There's an engaging door to the next room.
Connecting door.
Yeah, that always worries me, doesn't it? Worry
Yeah.
you when you stay in a hotel, the connecting door, and I always
Yeah.
put a couch or something in case somebody tries to break in. No, in case...
Funnily enough, that's what they put on the other side.
Well, I hope they do, so they don't break in. But anyway, I was absolutely shocked when the chap next door, who's Lord somebody, he comes out and he says,
He's the Earl of something, isn't he?
yeah, the Earl of something. He comes out and he says, right, we're going for dinner, my darling. And then back here, and she said, oh, to make love all night. And
Yeah.
he said, yes, that's the plan. She's already got her lady maid to go to the local chemist back in Yorkshire and buy the 1924 version of a contraceptive pack of something.
Device, yes.
Or something, a device. Don't quite know what it is.
No, you never find out.
But she's
not to ask.
so ashamed about it. Nobody ever sees it, and it's put in a brown paper bag and all this kind of stuff. I mean, to me, it was terribly. And then you see them waking up together after a night of physical, intimacy.
Passion.
I mean, I'm shocked.
You've
I'm
probably
shocked.
forgotten what that's like, haven't you?
No, I haven't forgotten what that's like, Mike, but I still don't think it should be made public in Downton Abbey.
Deary me. Are you going to be writing a letter of complaint?
I'll never look at
Mr.
Lady
Angry
Mary
from Sutton.
in the same light again, honestly.
No.
I mean, it's...
You fancy her now, probably.
Well,
You think you've got a chance?
No, not really. But I mean, and it doesn't make sense, does it, when you see a couple who's supposed to have been on the job all night, but wake up in pyjamas and a nightdress? It doesn't make any sense.
No, well,
doesn't make any sense to me.
It was the 20s, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We are the
Yeah.
two Mikes. He's Mike Parry. I'm Mike Graham. Loads more coming up.
But tell me, did you sail across the sun? Did you make it to the Milky Way to see the lights all fading and that heaven is overrated? Tell me, did you fall for a shooting star? One without a permanent scar, and then you missed me while you were looking for yourself out there.
This is TalkSport Extra Time. I'm Mike Graham. Mike Parry is here. We are the two Mikes. There will be a podcast, of course, coming out.
Yep.
I bet you don't know who that is. You must have heard this song. It's one of those songs everybody knows, but nobody knows who it's by.
It's either called Train or it's by Train.
It's by Train.
By Train. There
Why'd you
go.
guess that?
Well, because I'm just, I have intimate
cheating
knowledge.
again,
of...
aren't
No.
You're obviously cheating.
No,
I can't tell you.
I'm
There is
cheating.
literally a tidal wave of correction coming your
Right.
way on Twitter.
Yeah.
You can find us, of course, at the two Mikes, at Mike Parry. Please bombard him with all of this as well.
And the correction is
the
your
correction
mistake.
is, no, that was definitely a Genesis song.
Right.
Somebody's even included the picture of the album, which is that album there, which I have
Yeah,
personally, which you'll see the track listing of Genesis, and it says "That's All."
Yeah, but that's
all I've got to say to you.
Yeah, but that's because it was included on that album after Phil Collins had put it
Just
out as a
stop
single
digging.
in his own right.
Stop digging.
And by the way, the sex I was talking about, I remember what the other one is, Scott and Bailey. Now that comes out like
never
on
seen
a
that.
Thursday,
What
I
is
think
that?
it is. Well, it's two female detectives, and it's great
Is it?
series, set in the north of England, gritty, hard and all that. But one of them, who's played by, I think her name is Sunitra Jones or something. She's a very great actress and very sexy girl.
Sunita Jones.
Or Sundra Jones or something like that. I
I'll
can't
have a
remember.
look, see if I can find
Yeah,
it.
yeah, but anyway, one story. She's just been promoted now to detective sergeant, and she's gone up in the world, is now having an affair with a superintendent.
Oh, dear.
And, that's going to scandalise the whole police station as well. So everything, Downton Abbey, this one, Doctor Who, once again, the insidious element and influence of sexual relations between human beings is polluting everything we watch.
Well, why can't they just do a show about the police instead of having to have all this kind of, sex?
Don't ask me.
Sunita Jones is a banker, apparently.
Oh, no.
At a
No,
banking
it's not
company in London.
No.
You can find out more about her on LinkedIn.
No.
There's another Sunita Jones, got a Facebook account.
No.
There's a Dr. Sunita Jones, business development
No,
portfolio
it could be her
manager.
name's not Jones. It could be something
Really?
else. Could be something
Dr.
else.
Sunita Jones, Orlando, Florida.
No.
For more information,
No, it's
check
not
here.
that. Stop it. It's a waste
Sunita
of time.
Jones in the white page. Here's one for the Orlando, Virginia Medical Centre.
Complete waste of time. This.
Sunita
Sorry.
Jones. No, it's not Sunita Jones, is it?
No, it's probably not. I'm sorry, I probably got her name wrong. But
No, you
she's
got her
great.
name wrong.
She used to be in Coronation Street,
Oh,
and very, very good actress indeed.
Well, we'll get the guys to try and find out what her real name is.
Her name's Sandra or something. I'm sure one of the guys will find
Savan Jones,
it.
possibly?
No, and she's
Anne Jones.
She's either
Anne Jones was a tennis player.
yeah, she was. Yeah, she's either Detective Constable Scott or Detective Constable Bailey. It's
You've
one
obviously paid
or
a lot
the
of
other.
attention to this show.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I don't know the names of the actresses necessarily, but I know the names of
No.
their characters. Anyway, look.
Anyway, the reason we
you
played
were
that song
playing
by Train.
Train.
Do you know what the song's called?
No, I've no idea.
Drops of Jupiter.
Well, how would I know that?
Well,
Why?
because you knew it was a band called Train, so I don't know how you knew that.
Is Drops of Jupiter referring to the planet?
I have no idea.
Well, you would think so, wouldn't you?
I guess so.
Do you know any of the Jupiters?
Phil Jupitus.
What was the name of that drink we used to drink down in the south in America?
Eh?
Jupils? What was it called? It was green thing. Used to have mint leaves in it and all that.
Mint Julep.
Mint julep, that was the one. Yeah, it was a great drink, wasn't
It's
it?
got Jack Daniels in it, though.
Yeah, well, God, I got absolutely bladdered on
Doesn't
that
surprise me.
one night in
All your stories end like
in
that.
somewhere like Atlanta or somewhere like that. It was fantastic, brilliant. With a load of Germans, actually. I don't know what I was doing with a load of Germans, but I was
Who
in
knows?
Atlanta and absolutely bladdered. I don't think I've ever had one since. Now, talking about trains and all that, you see, people in this country are...
Don't start with trains with me, because
Yeah.
one of the reasons I drove in tonight was
Yeah.
because of the wind and the rain, because whenever that happens, normally
Yes.
southeast trains stop running.
Fantastic
And they
autumnal weather, though, isn't it? Doesn't
Well,
it
no, it's
inspire
not.
you? Doesn't it
Well,
inspire
no,
you?
because I'd like to be able to use the public transportation system, the road system in this country,
Well,
without it being
you've got-
completely defective.
You've got to adapt it. Anyway, look, let me say about trains is
Yeah.
this. Trains should have standing areas on them because trains are largely built, 90% of the use of trains is to get people in and out of work
Yeah.
at rush hour times.
Yes,
Do you agree?
True.
So that means that the trains are always going to be crowded at those times.
Yeah.
So in my view, just take all the seats out and just make let a few people sit, make everybody else stand. That's what happens
Well-
on the London Underground
Well,
Tube.
for an awful lot of people, all they
Yeah.
can do is stand, because one of the problems now
Yeah.
with trains is that they don't put enough carriages on at peak time. So, I mean, there are some
Well,
situations...
they've expanded it now
When
to 10. It used to be 8, now it's
rubbish.
10.
No, when they...
Well, I'm telling you, mate, on the service
Yeah,
I've
but you
got, which is the fast line up from the coast...
You don't use the trains very often.
I use the trains
You
quite
hardly
often.
ever use the trains.
I use trains quite often coming into town here. Sometimes when I'm doing daytime stuff, you know what I mean? I do use the trains, and they're great outside of rush hour.
Yeah,
Now,
but the problem you will find that people have when they're coming in from places like Kent and Surrey
Yeah.
is that they can't get on the train. I mean, I used to have the problem when I lived in North London, when I used to take the train down to Blackfriars, and 4 carriages turn up, and there's too many people on the train for you to get
yeah,
on.
but you see, what
It's
to do is
ridiculous.
take all the seats out.
Well,
and
that's not a bad idea, actually.
Yeah, of course,
it's one
it's
of
a
your
good
better
idea.
ideas.
Yeah, and let everybody stand.
Yeah.
Because the point is, standing's quite unpleasant at the
It's
moment.
like the guy from Ryanair. He wanted to have that on planes, didn't he?
Well, that's a good idea. Of course, you can have it on planes. If you strap people to the
Well, I
wall...
don't think health and safety would have it.
Yeah, you could. If you strap people to the wall of the plane, if you see what I mean, the
Well,
interior...
what would you put in the middle, then?
Well, you'd have another barrier down the middle and strap people to that as well. So no, seriously, people would be facing each other, strapped to the wall.
That would
you know,
be ridiculous.
No, it wouldn't be
Totally
ridiculous. It
ridiculous.
wouldn't be ridiculous. You'd
They
be
could just
as
strap you
safe.
to the first-class bar, couldn't they?
Yeah, why not? Why not? But I mean, you'd be just as safe strapped standing up as you were strapped sitting down. In fact, you'd have a better chance of survival if you crashed because you'd be more alert to getting away. You'd be on your feet and you could run and all this kind of stuff before the plane blew up.
Unbelievable.
No, you could.
Absolutely
And I'm
incredible.
telling you, I think it's a very good idea, and that would be Michael Ryan. Michael Ryan? No, Ryanair. Michael O'Leary. Is it Michael O'Leary?
No, I don't think you got that right.
Yes, I think I have. I think I have. Yeah. Or Flaherty. Is it Michael? No? Is it? No?
I've got a couple of people suggesting Flo in Glasgow says it's definitely Saran Jones.
Saran.
And Robbie
Saran.
has tweeted that it's Saran Jones. as
Saran.
well.
There you go. Saran,
Like
you are
Saran
right.
Wrap, if you can remember it like that.
No.
It's an aide de memoire.
No. Saran Jones, and beautiful girl and great actress, but now she's in an affair with a detective chief superintendent, I think, or certainly superintendent anyway.
Dear
But
me.
look, the point of this story, Mike,
What is the
that
point of the story?
if they took all the, I don't say take all the seats out, just put seats along the edge of the inside of the carriage. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
Because the reason why it's so unpleasant for people to stand in trains at the moment is there's so little standing space. So that means you're crushed up, and it's very unpleasant being that close to another human being. You don't know whether that other human being has been in the shower.
Well, this is the other problem with this time of year,
and this
because
is the
I've now
problem.
got. I mean, one of my kids was off school today, and I think
Right.
I've got some kind of little cold-like virus.
Oh,
because when
yes.
you travel, as I do on public transport quite a lot,
Oh,
there's
yes.
always somebody coughing and spluttering
Oh,
all
it's
over
horrible,
you.
isn't it? And then-
Absolutely
yeah.
horrendous. And whenever the
Yeah.
seasons do change, everybody gets ill. That's the big problem I've got.
Of course it is, yeah. So in my view, you can definitely take out all the seats, make it standing. That would cut the cost of travel because you get more people on, paying more money towards the cost of it, because it's massively subsidised, by the way.
It is.
You know,
Well, that's the other thing that people get annoyed about.
The people who run the train companies are very clever because they knew that you can't make money running trains on a commercial basis, but you get massive subsidies from the government to provide a service which is needed to
And
keep the economy of the
services
country running.
Yeah, and that's the problem. The services are
Yeah.
very good, and loads
Yeah.
of people get very, very, very wealthy on it. You know.
They
and-
do.
And they shouldn't be able to do that.
No, I totally agree with you.
It's the most expensive trains in Europe.
Yeah, but the thing that is worrying me is they're talking about taking out more and more first-class carriages. Don't need to do that. Keep the
Well,
first-class...
they might as well take those out.
No, keep the first-class carriages because important
No.
people who have to
No,
work
the only
and need a
people that
table...
use first-class carriages in a short haul trains.
Oh,
which
short
are,
haul.
are people like you.
No,
because
short
you
haul.
like to think you're better than everybody
No,
else.
no, short-
I've been with you on 2 occasions
Yeah.
going to football matches
Yeah.
where you didn't have a first-class ticket,
Yeah.
but you insisted on dragging me into the first-class compartment.
I always do that, and if a guard comes along and says you've got to pay extra, I pay extra. I don't mind. That's okay. That's fine by
yeah,
me.
but it makes no difference if you're going,
Well-
15 minutes down the road.
Listen, mate, if you're able to separate yourself from the great unwashed masses...
I don't want to do that.
then,
I mean, you claim to be
there's
a man
nothing wrong with
you
that. I am a
claim
man
to
of
be
the
a man
people.
of the people. We don't want to sit with them.
But on long journeys, like if I go from Liverpool to Merseyside or something like that...
Liverpool to Merseyside.
Sorry, from
That's
London.
quite a short trip.
From London to Merseyside, I want to sit in a nice carriage, first class and all that. What they should do is
Well, I don't object to that.
take all the seats out in second class, let people stand,
Well,
because
just let
that
them
make it
travel like
easier for
cattle.
them. No, not for
That's what
cattle.
you'd like.
That's what they
You think you're
choose
better
to
than
do.
everybody else, don't you?
I don't
That
think I'm
is
better
at
than
the root
anybody
of it
else.
all.
I don't
You
think
do.
that is. I don't. In fact, I'm a very humble man, and I do. I realise my position in life, and I don't have a problem
That's
with
the
it.
biggest joke I've heard all day. Unfortunately, you now have to look into the light again, though, because it's that time. I'm Mike Graham. He's Mike Parry.
Look into the light.
Loads more coming up.
Shut up, just shut up, shut up, 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 just shut up, shut up, shut up, just shut up, shut up, oh no, shut up, just shut up, shut up, shut it up, just shut up, shut up.
No, I bet you don't know who that is. I bet you don't. Oh, sorry to have bothered you.
Sorry.
You know.
No, I was
Do you
thinking
know
of
who that
deep in
is? Do you
thought.
know what song that is?
That was Shaka Khan.
No, it was not Shaka
Wasn't
Khan.
it? Who was it?
No, it was the Black Eyed Peas,
Black
whose
Eyed
lead
Peas.
singer
Yeah.
happens to be called
Well, I've no idea.
Fergie.
Fergie.
Oh,
I see. Fergie.
You see what we did there? Because we
clever.
talk about Roy Keane. Isn't that clever?
That's right. Yeah, very clever indeed. Have the Black Eyed Peas ever had a hit record?
They've had many.
Like number ones?
Will I Am, you've heard of him, right?
Oh yeah, I have. Yeah,
He's from
yeah.
the Black Eyed Peas as
He's
well.
the guy who's
on The Voice.
Didn't he? Who did he get together with to work on music? Was it Cheryl Cole?
I think he did, yeah.
Yeah, did he? Yeah. Okay.
Very
yeah.
good.
Well,
so you know if
yeah.
it's about anything to do with Cheryl Cole, you're knowledgeable of.
Well, not necessarily, but I mean,
And
you
Will I
know.
Am, you should also know from The Voice, because he was on that, wasn't he?
Yeah, and he's made a lot of money, hasn't he?
He certainly has.
He wasn't the guy who invented the headphones, was he?
No,
Who was that?
that was another guy.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But he made about $25 million.
Yeah, the guy who got bought out by Apple.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. No, yes, that's
Dr.
right.
Dre.
Dr. Dre. Okay, well, there you go. Now, talking about these books, Mike, we must talk about these books,
Well, let me
okay?
just read this to you first.
Go on, go
From
on.
Purple Tweets. It doesn't have a name, that's his name.
You're right.
The message the new series of Downton Abbey is trying to get across is the changing of the times. Times started changing at some stage. And then he says about you, he says, the thing is with Doctor Who is that it's an intelligent television show, and a lot of people have been saying it's been rubbish for years.
Yeah.
Some people just can't comprehend some things, and for them, that's all it takes to believe something rubbish.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think what he's saying is basically you're not intelligent enough to understand Doctor Who.
No. I'm easy intelligent enough, but I thought if he was a time traveller, why doesn't he travel in time occasionally instead of travelling to weird, societies, weird planets,
Well, he
weird
does travel in
nations?
time.
He doesn't. If he was travelling in time, he should have gone back to 1066 and reenacted the Battle of Hastings, so that you could say to your children, "Now see that field over there? That's where it took place. Come in and watch Doctor Who, and you'll see Doctor Who go back to 1066 and reenact the Battle of Hastings, and Harold gets an arrow in the eye." excuse me, and all that kind of stuff, right? He should go back and stand on the deck, just as, Admiral Lord Horatio Nelson receives the fatal bullet wound through his chest, which kills him, and all that kind of stuff in the heat of battle. That's historical. That's a time traveller. Doctor Who's not a time
You
traveller.
travel forward as well, can't you?
Yeah, well, I suppose you can travel forward if you want, but I mean, it's all
Why go
madness.
back?
He travels to other planets instead of
like,
travelling
for example,
in time.
I mean, if you had a time machine,
Yes.
what you're saying to me is you would always want to travel back. See,
No.
The difference between you and I is if I had a time machine, I'd want to go forward.
Oh, well, I'd want to go forward as well, if only to find out what the lottery numbers were for this week. I mean,
You see, that's typical
and-
of you.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
is typical of you. It's all about your own personal gain.
Do you know what I'd do? If
Derek,
I had a time machine, I'd travel...
you'd use it for cheating,
I
is
would.
what you just told me.
I would travel forward to the day
Shocking.
after the next derby, right? And then I'd find out who the winner was, and I'd go back and then put money on it, right?
It's like the thing from. It's like the plot from Back to the Future. Isn't it?
Oh, is it a bit? Yeah, I suppose it is.
Have you not
yeah.
seen that film
Yeah,
either?
of course I've seen that film, but it wasn't easy for them to travel forwards and backwards quickly. They had to arrange it very, very, very complicated with the car going on fire and all that kind of stuff, right? Yeah, didn't they?
Not
Didn't they?
exactly, no.
Yeah. Anyway, go
Now,
on.
let me read
Yeah.
you this from
Yeah.
following on from Purple Tweets. He's
Okay.
making quite a big attack on you. He says, "I judge people on their minds, nothing more, and I don't reckon much at all." To Mike Parry's mind.
Well, you don't know me.
He then says, and you'll like this, "I consider myself a very good judge of character.
Right.
And in my humble opinion, Mike Parry has got on in life because he doesn't mind."
Doesn't mind. That's a bit of what to call it? Like a crossword clue. A bit of
Cryptic.
Bit cryptic. That's
Yeah.
what I was looking for. Well done, Mike. You're on form tonight.
Thank you very much indeed.
Well, I know exactly what I'm talking about, pal, because I've been around, seen things, done things, and learned by my mistakes. Not that I've made many, and and learned by my
Now,
successes.
well, let's talk about, and how about this one from Derek in Pencoed?
Pencoed?
Once again, Porky proves what a hypocrite he is. He claims to be a humble man,
Yeah.
but he's always going on about his Merc and his penthouse. A true humble man wouldn't keep on about such things.
I don't. They just come up in conversation when
Yeah.
you try to mock me and say I've got no grass, and I say, but I've got I've got plants.
You haven't got any grass. Pants.
No, I've got plants in my my roof garden at the penthouse. That's
Well,
all I'm
you
saying.
are a bit of a plant,
That's all
aren't
I'm
you?
saying. And by the way, I've got loads of grass in
Where?
Portsmouth. You've been there. I've got great grounds
see
full
any
of grass. Yeah, there's loads of grass.
You live in a flat.
It doesn't matter. When I look off the balcony and look
I
down,
didn't see anything but concrete.
There are beautiful lawns
I
which are
didn't see those.
maintained by a local firm
Well,
of
by the time we
top-class
got there,
gardeners.
it was dark, I think
Yeah,
you'd
it was.
find.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't.
Because we'd stopped in all those pubs on the
I
way.
think by the time we left, it was dark. Anyway,
Let's talk about Roy Keane.
Let's
anyway.
talk about Roy Keane. Now, look, if I was employing Roy Keane, and I'm talking now about Paul Lambert, the manager of Villa,
Yeah.
he suddenly wrote this book, explosively controversial again, and attacking the biggest club in the world, which he happened to play for, Manchester United,
Yeah.
attacking the manager of that club, Sir Alex Ferguson, a worldwide ambassador now for Manchester United.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think...
And for UEFA, I think, as well.
And for UEFA. Yes, absolutely, that's right. And for UEFA. I just think it puts him in such a difficult position. To me, I mean,
What, do you think Lambert should let go of him, you mean, because of this?
well, I just think I'd be very embarrassed now if I was Paul Lambert, because quite apart from anything else, who is going to be the main focus of attention at Aston Villa
Yeah.
on the management side between now and the middle of December? Roy Keane,
Yeah.
because he's written this book, and the book also illustrates the difference between the career of Roy Keane and the career of Paul Lambert.
Yeah.
I mean, Lambert, don't forget, did play in a Champions League.
He played for
final.
Dortmund, didn't he?
He did indeed, absolutely. So he has got.
I once played behind him at Glen Eagles, fellow, with golf.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Quite a
interesting.
good golfer.
What was he doing then?
It was some charity golf day.
No,
or something.
who's he? What was he doing in Scotland?
I think he was still associated with Celtic. Or something
Right,
at that
okay,
point.
yeah. But I mean, that's a good point. Now, one of the... Obviously, we've got all tomorrow morning's papers, and they're either for or against Peterson. But
Yeah.
the some, for instance...
Do you not think there are similarities between Peterson and Roy Keane? In
Oh,
that,
very much so.
In that they place themselves, a bit like you actually, always place themselves at the centre of every story.
What?
You know, like no matter what's going on,
Yeah.
it's always about you.
Well,
and no matter what's going on with Kevin Peterson, it's always about him. You know, you and I have spoken about Bill Clinton's night of inauguration.
Yes.
All you ever say is that you were there and you were approached to be, you know, his
Well,
special advisor.
well,
you
I
don't talk
can't
about
help
the
that.
great kind of, you know, historical
I can't help
moment
that. I
of
can't help
being
that.
in the same
I
company.
spotted Bill Clinton before anybody
You see
else.
what I mean?
I said, I'll go
so
down
you are
to...
the Roy Keane of Talk Sport.
I said,
You've
I'll
got
go...
the beard and everything.
I'll go down to Little Rock in Arkansas to see this guy who's challenging for the president. Nobody gives him a hope in hell, but I'll go and see him. And half an hour after I met him, I rang the office and said, this guy's going to be the president of the United States, so we should stick with him.
Was that on election night?
No. It was about.
It didn't take
It was
much
a
to
year.
predict
It was
that.
a year before. It was
Oh,
a year
really?
before. Anyway, look, just looking at like the back page of the Sun, for instance. Okay, they've got an exclusive reply to the serialisation of the book from
Yes.
John Etheridge, their cricket writer.
Right.
You are a bunch of useless, and then an expletive which you wouldn't possibly
We can't
use on
say
a
that
family
word,
show
no.
like ours.
No.
What KP said to his England teammates. Okay, and then you go back inside. They've got a story about Stuart Broad being rubbished by. This is not in the book, obviously. This
No.
is the Sun's own investigation by being rubbished by Kevin Peterson when he tried to give a morale boosting talk to the players during the disastrous series in Australia when they lost 5-0.
Yeah.
And another one here, former England all-rounder Dominic Cork, very well known to this station,
Yes.
of course, does
Well,
the
he was
breakfast show.
talking on breakfast yesterday.
Of course
in
he
fact.
was.
Yeah.
Of course he was. But he said separately, Peterson has just left a trail of destruction wherever he has been.
Yeah.
So,
But the trouble with this,
excuse me, that's,
Peterson
you know,
story-
that's three sort of prominent
Yeah.
examples of Peterson
And
not being
and
very.
even Darren Gough yesterday
very
was,
well liked.
was suggesting that this might not be the greatest way of his
Yeah.
trying to get back into the good books of England. Maybe that's not what he's trying to do.
Well, he's not,
but,
is he?
But I mean, I think the thing that I find staggering about Peterson, and not so much about Roy Keane, is that
Yeah.
people have got such different and opposing views of him. I mean, you know, Piers Morgan, who's his great supporter, Darren Gough has been in the past. Dominic Cork is on the other side, as is John Etheridge. In fact, the Sun's
That's right.
correspondent. He's always been, you know, but they're either all for him
Yeah.
or they're all against him. There doesn't seem to be
Yeah.
anybody sort of sensible
Well,
like me in the middle.
I don't think
who
you-
would say, actually, why don't you just forget your differences? The guy may be an idiot,
Yeah.
he may be a pain in the backside, but, you know, he's worth including in the team, isn't he?
I don't think you can be one of the. I mean, look, let's face it. Pearce got on his side
Mm.
because he was the world's most famous cricketer at the time, probably one of the best cricketers in the world.
And Piers is a massive cricket fan.
Pearce is a massive cricket fan, but he was like lining up against very famous people because he had a.
Well, both Kevin Peterson and Flintoff were at Piers' wedding.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I was at as well.
Yeah.
He's a mate of theirs.
Yeah,
I mean, there's no hiding
That's
that.
fine, absolutely right. But what I'm saying is, I think, Pearce had no option but to support him. But I think it was a lot of blind support in that because Pearce didn't really give any consideration to the complaints about
no,
Kevin
but
Peterson.
what he says-
the whistling thing, for
Yeah, yeah,
instance.
but-
Pearce
but-
said,
but-
"Oh, so you get sacked for whistling." Well, if you go in after you've just been, bowled out or caught out, whatever it was, and you start whistling in a nonchalant way, like you couldn't care less whether you're in and out, that is going to.
But by that stage,
That is gonna
things-
rile your
No,
teammates.
sure, but by that
Yeah.
stage, things had already deteriorated to such an extent, it would seem, that they
Yeah.
were barely speaking anyway.
Yeah.
And Piers' defence of him is always, capped off by the fact that, he is the highest run scorer of all time for England. Why is he not in the team?
But it was just little things that, he exploded, he blew dressing rooms apart. And funny enough, I've read a response from somebody, I think it's Michael Vaughan, the former England captain.
Yeah, in the Telegraph today.
In tomorrow morning's papers, which
That's
nobody
what I mean.
else has seen
Well,
yet.
no,
That's
it's
right.
today.
Yeah.
It's 5 to 3 in the morning.
Today, you're absolutely
It's
right.
not tomorrow.
And it's either Michael Vaughan or it's one of them who said,
Another time machine again.
what a pity this is just a score-settling
Yeah.
book, when in fact it could have been a real historical document about cricket, you know what I mean?
Well, he also says,
And
what a pity
at the
that
inside-
the people running England couldn't
Yeah.
figure out a way of including this guy in the team in a way that would have suited everyone.
And somebody also says that actually, if the leadership at the top had been absolutely solid, it should never have been allowed to get out of hand
Right.
like this, and should
I
never
mean,
have been
you
allowed to
fired
happen.
people in the past because you didn't get on with them, regardless of how talented they were. And
No,
that's
no,
one of the
never,
problems that
never.
bad bosses have.
Never. You've got to manage talent,
Yeah.
and you've got to manage it in
Do
a
you think
way.
that's what you did, do you?
I never sacked anybody because I disliked them.
Didn't you?
I only ever got rid of anybody if they weren't contributing to the cause
Really?
and trying hard enough
I see.
and had the talent to make it work.
Okay.
It's as simple as that.
You don't really line a few people up to say that that's not entirely true.
Mike, you won't find anybody who says, Mike Parry fired me because he didn't like me, but I was the best journalist in the world, I was the best broadcaster in the world, or whatever. That's never happened
Well,
to me.
people who
I've
get fired,
never ever.
people who get fired do tend
that.
to say that, don't they?
Well, I don't mind
always
what they
think-
say.
they always think they're
if
very
you're
good at it.
if you're good at your job, then sometimes people can be difficult to deal with because they've got maybe an overinflated view of their own abilities and that sort of thing.
Astonishing.
And that can be hard to handle. But you have to handle it because, excuse me, they're contributing to the cause. Whether you're a mate of theirs or anything like that shouldn't come into it, and it never does. Well, it never does at the top. That's why the most successful people, like Sir Alex Ferguson, had no gumption whatsoever about getting rid of Roy Keane, which is another score-settling book, as far as I can see,
Yeah.
because what he's saying tonight, and you don't want to know what Keane thought of Fergie, that's because we cannot repeat the language that he's used in this book. Roy Keane thought Alex Ferguson was an who was not giving enough to Manchester United.
Yeah, exactly. And what about taking on Peter Schmeichel, headbutting Peter Schmeichel? I mean, there can't be many people looking at Peter Schmeichel that would even consider taking him on physically.
Apparently this
That's
happened
incredible.
in a hotel in somewhere like Bangkok or something like that.
Some pre-season
and
tour.
it went on for an hour or something. Woke up Sir Bobby Charlton, who wanted to know what all the noise was about. Well, I mean, crikey, Sir Bobby Charlton could have been on the 5th or 6th floor. This is happening down in the ballroom downstairs, a late-night drinking session.
Right.
And Schmeichel ends up the next day with a black eye. I mean, you know, what was going on there, one asks.
Absolutely incredible stuff. Well, we've unfortunately we've run out of time. But
Can't believe
however,
it. We've only just started. We've got lots more to talk about.
We should also mention, by the way, that the tickets are now available on sale for our next stage show, which is on the 24th of October, Friday night, right?
Yeah,
At the Hen and Chickens.
I can't thank Hen and Chicken enough. The minute we came off stage from the last one, they said immediately, you know, let's get some dates in before Christmas. We've got this date. It's October 24th, 2 weeks next Friday. We'd be delighted to entertain you. Please come along. We've had lots of response already. Excuse me.
You're going to last that long?
I don't know why. I've got something in the back of my throat tonight. I think it's the air condition.
Really?
And one chap has texted me or emailed me or something from the Midlands saying he's coming again. He came last time with his mate. He's bringing half a dozen pals this time.
Is he?
So please, if you want to come, you'd be very welcome. We'd love to see you. But I think the tickets are going to go pretty damn quickly, if you see what I mean. So let's get in there because we'd love to see you.
PDQ.
Yeah.
We are the Two Mics. There will be a podcast available.
There will be,
at
podcast.
some point later on this morning. Check the Two Mics Twitter feed. And of course, you can follow Mike Parry and Mike Parry 8. I'm at IROMG. And we've got lots more to come coming up. And there'll be a 5-hour Two Mics Spectacular, as it has become known, on Thursday night, Mr. Parry. And that's when I shall see you next. Although you'll be in, no doubt, with the papers on Wednesday on the Alan Brazil.
I certainly will be.
Spots breakfast.
Certainly will be, mate.
Because, I mean, we're going to need a lot of livening up, I'm afraid, because San Marino against England on Thursday is not much to look forward to, do you know what I mean?
It's not, honestly.
So you're going to have
It's
to
really
come
not.
up with a few new theories. In fact, Thursday night, I'm expecting you to be on a rip snorter of a theory. So
After
that
the
we
game.
don't just have to talk about England 7, San Marino 0, or whatever it's going to be. That was the Two Mics podcast.
Yes, it certainly was. Don't forget, it's out every Tuesday and every Friday morning on iTunes.
And you can follow us at the Two Mics.
So keep listening for more of MG's loose morals. Believe me, this boy hasn't got a moral fibre in his body.
And more of his bizarre buffoonery.
What?